They called him the Bastard of Winterfell. Jon Snow, the outsider, the oathbreaker, the Lord Commander, the King in the North. For nearly a decade, Game of Thrones built him up from nothing. From the quiet boy at the dinner table to the man who led armies, faced death and came back. But the greatest mystery that surrounded Jon, the question of his parentage, was treated like a sacred flame. Protected, teased, guarded for years, and when the truth was finally revealed, it meant nothing. This is the story of how the most important secret in Westeros became irrelevant. This is why Jon Snow's Targaryen reveal was completely pointless. Let's go back to the beginning. In both the books and the show, Jon's identity was shrouded in secrecy. Ned Stark, the paragon of honor, brought home a baby boy from Robert's rebellion and claimed him as his own bastard. That alone was strange. Because Ned was not the type of man who would cheat on his wife, and certainly not the type to lie about it so cleanly, so completely. Catelyn hated the boy. The court whispered about him, and yet Ned never said a word. Readers of A Song of Ice and Fire quickly caught on. There was something wrong here. Jon's dreams in the books often hinted at a deeper heritage. Dreams of crypts beneath Winterfell, where the kings of old lay. Dreams of swords burning red. And then there were the clues. Small, deliberate and consistent. The way Ned refused to speak of Jon's mother. The way King Robert wanted to kill every Targaryen child. The way Jon never looked like the other Stark children. And then came the theory, R plus L equals J. Rhaegar plus Lyanna equals Jon. That Lyanna Stark, not some nameless barmaid, was Jon's mother. That she didn't get kidnapped by Rhaegar. She ran away with him. That the war, the rebellion, the fall of the Targaryen dynasty, it was all built on a lie, and Jon was the living proof of it. For years, this theory lived in forums, essays, Reddit threads, book clubs. It was the crown jewel of fan speculation. And when Game of Thrones finally confirmed it, in Season 6, with that haunting montage of baby Jon and the fade to Kit Harington's face, it felt like prophecy. The showrunners had kept the secret close, and they delivered it with gravity. Jon was not a Snow. He was Aegon Targaryen, sixth of his name, son of ice and fire, the blood of two great houses, the true heir to the Iron Throne. And then, nothing. Let's be very clear, this wasn't just a plot twist. This was the plot twist, the culmination of 8 seasons of build-up. It reframed the entire show, it changed the stakes. Or it should have, but it didn't. Once Jon's parentage is revealed, nothing changes. There's no political upheaval, no civil war, no strategic pivot. Sansa and Arya barely blink. Dany gets jealous for 5 minutes. The Northern Lords never react. The small council doesn't even discuss it. In the final council scene, where the fate of Westeros is decided, no one mentions that the man sitting in chains is the rightful king. It's as if the secret that drove an entire generation of viewers means absolutely nothing to the characters who live in that world. The writers could have done anything with it. Jon could have rejected the crown publicly, igniting debate. He could have been forced to confront what it meant to be both Stark and Targaryen. He could have united the realm by birth and by action. Instead, he walks around awkwardly while everyone else makes the decisions. What makes this failure worse is how it disconnects from the book's intentions. George R.R. Martin built Jon as a parallel to classic mythic heroes, Aragorn, King Arthur, even Moses. A child of prophecy, raised in obscurity, returning to claim a destiny he never asked for. In the books, Jon's death at the end of A Dance with Dragons is not just a twist, it's a rebirth setup. Melisandre sees snow in her flames. The wildlings call him Lord of Light's champion. His bloodline, revealed subtly, is tied to the prophecy of Azor Ahai, the hero reborn to fight the darkness. In the show, this prophecy is casually tossed aside. Melisandre's visions, the Lord of Light's revival of Jon, all of it is forgotten. Arya kills the Night King in a blink, with no connection to the prophecy and no build-up toward it. Jon, who trained with the Night's Watch, rode into battle against the White Walkers, parleyed with Mance Rayder, united the wildlings, died fighting the dead, and came back from the grave, is sidelined in his own story. Why? Because the writers David Benioff and D.B. Weiss didn't know what to do with the secret once they revealed it. They used it not as a central story pivot, but as a way to spark drama between Jon and Dany. That's it. A glorified jealousy subplot. Daenerys hears that Jon has a better claim, and suddenly she's paranoid. That's all the reveal does, make her insecure. It doesn't affect alliances, it doesn't change the war, it doesn't even make Jon question who he is. And that's the tragedy. Not just in the writing, but in the character. Because Jon's entire life was built on not knowing, on growing up in the shadow of others. He hated the word bastard. He longed for belonging. And when he finally learns the truth, he does nothing with it. He doesn't claim the name. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't even mourn the fact that Ned lied to him, that his entire life was built on a secret that cost thousands of lives. Remember, Robert's rebellion was built on the belief that Rhaegar kidnapped and raped Lyanna. That lie led to the fall of a dynasty, the rise of the Baratheons, the exile of the Targaryens. If Jon's truth had been made public, it could have rewritten history. Instead, it goes nowhere. It's also worth mentioning how absurd the name Aegon Targaryen is in the context of the show. In the books, Rhaegar already had a son named Aegon, the one killed by Gregor Clegane during the sack of King's Landing. So, naming another child Aegon makes no sense unless the show wants to erase Aegon the Young completely. In the books, there's even a character called Young Griff, who may be a fake Aegon, which adds another layer of tension to the name. But the show ignores this entirely. It names Jon Aegon because it sounds important. The Targaryen name should have been a burden for Jon. It should have fractured the realm. People should have questioned his loyalty. Should the North follow a Dragon Lord? Should the South follow a Stark? Instead, nothing happens. He's still treated like Jon Snow, but with slightly more awkward stares. And in the end, after everything, after killing Daenerys, after betraying the woman he loved for the good of the realm, Jon is not celebrated, not honoured, not made king. He's sent back to the Night's Watch. Even though there's no threat left, the wall is broken, the White Walkers are gone, the wildlings are allies, and yet Jon is exiled. And no one mentions he's a Targaryen. No one says he has royal blood. Maybe he deserves a voice. Not Sansa, not Arya, not Bran. Especially not Bran, who knew Jon's secret before anyone and used it for nothing. The reveal wasn't just pointless, it was insulting. This wasn't a minor detail. It was the heart of the story, a song of ice and fire, Stark and Targaryen. Jon was the literal embodiment of the title, the living union of two great houses, of two great bloodlines, of two great legacies. He was ice, he was fire, he was the story, but the show didn't treat him that way. It treated his reveal like a trivia fact, something to stir drama, then discard. They could have given Jon a final moment of clarity, a moment to own who he really was, to rise above it, to become the king who didn't want the crown, the dragon who chose peace, the wolf who united the pack. Instead, he fades away, just as he began, in the cold, forgotten, exiled, irrelevant. And so we ask, what was the point? Why reveal his secret if it was never going to change anything? Why make him a Targaryen if he was never going to act like one? Why call him Aegon if no one would ever say the name again? The answer is simple. They didn't know. They built the mystery, but they never built the meaning. Jon Snow's reveal should have been the moment the world changed. Instead, it became the moment the story died. And that is why Jon's Targaryen reveal was completely pointless.